Hey guys, welcome back to Adapted Adventures. I'm Casey, and on this channel we talk about wheelchair equipment, accessible travel, and lifestyle tips. If that's something that might interest you, consider subscribing. So in this week's video, what we're going to be doing is talking about how I get in and out of my car. It is something I've discussed in the past, but I think since I've gotten my car, I've gotten a little bit better at it. So I wanted to review my process for you guys, and also because we recently have been getting some questions about how I go about driving when I'm not with Andrea. So I thought it would be a good chance for me to kind of review it, show it to you guys again, and if you have questions, be sure to ask. So this car that I've had since Andrea and I got married, basically, and it was my first car where I was having to take my chair apart to get it in. And kind of what we were talking about people having questions. I have got the question of like, oh, can you only drive like a minivan with a lift? And that's actually not true. If you have the upper body strength to be able to pick your own chair up, the sky's kind of the limit for what vehicle you could drive to a certain extent, because some are just going to be too small to fit a chair in. But also, just on that note, for people who might not be able to, it is expensive, but there is a lot more technology out there than there used to be even maybe 5 years ago about modifying cars, but we can talk about that in a different video. So to try to explain, I did have a different chair when I first started getting, when I first got this vehicle, and you can see I have some scratches and stuff. What I used to do when I would get in is lean my chair up sometimes against the side of the car, and that was not the best process in the world. And I'll show you here too that like on the inside of my door, I have some scratches from that chair too. But I've changed my process a little bit more, and I think now not only is it easier for me, but it's easier on my car as well. So I get the door open, and we are at a little bit of an incline today, but that's going to be okay. On this chair, I also have brakes. On my old one, I didn't, and so I can get up to my door, and I try to get as close as I can as possible. The other thing is I need to make sure that my driver's seat is all the way back, like slid all the way back, so I have as much room as possible between the seat and the steering wheel. So once I'm in, I put one brake on, and then my transfer process for me is one hand up on here on the door, and then one hand up on the seat, and I push and then get my butt in, and then pick my legs up, and pull my legs in. And my hand controls here, so I bump my knee. That's sometimes why I need to be careful and make sure my seat's all the way back, so I can limit the amounts of times I bump my knee sometimes. So once I'm in, I got the one brake on, and I have a roll hole cushion with a wooden like seat plate in it, so it is a little bit heavier. So while I could just pick the whole thing up, I choose to take my cushion off. So I pull that first, like that. And then the other thing, now that I'm in, you can see that the chair is inclined all the way, but to get as much space again between the wheel and your chest now, I lean the chair all the way back. So we'll lean that back, and then in order to get my wheels off, I do need to make sure my brake is off. So to make sure the door is all the way open, and this is where my process has changed a little bit. So I used to either tip it up and face my chair like this, and that obviously you can see used to kind of scratch my paint up and dent. But now, and also there too. But now what I do is actually with this is I put it in. See that I have to be careful of that, but like I tip it here, and I try to get it kind of inside the door, so it's not out on the wood or out on the metal there, and it's kind of more inside. And that also, what it does is allows me to get over here to reach this wheel. A couple other things to note: my old chair, the Spinergies I had were 24 spoke Spinergies. These are 12 spokes now. So instead of me having to try to reach, and I can't get that because I couldn't reach through before because there was more spokes than I could kind of get my hands through. Now with the 12 spokes, I have more space. So now I can reach here, and I pull the outside wheel first. This is preference, but I'll show you why I pull the outside wheel first in a second. I pull this in, and my wheels for me go in my back seat because I put the frame up front, and so it just gives me a little more space for the frame. So that, and then you can see my inside wheels butted up against the side of the car right now, and so now this is where I make an adjustment where I pick the chair up just a little bit and slide it out, and then grab the inside wheel, pull that one, and that goes in the back seat. And then this, I just try to be I had some shoulder trouble last year, And so I'm trying to be a little more cognizant about like not just grabbing it and going. So like instead of being way out here and just kind of yanking it in, I'll scoot it back in a little bit and then reach across, and then instead of just doing this with one hand, which I used to do admittedly, we kind of lift with both hands. And most of my lift, or like the weight of the chair, is in my left hand right now. So my right hand is guiding, but like the lifting is doing by my left hand, because that's a more natural movement for my bicep as opposed to using my arm way out here, that's tough on your shoulders. So then I'm here, and I have enough trunk stability and stuff, which some people might not, but you just have to kind of figure out what works best for you as you try different things out. But now I can twist, and I bring it across my lap, and then here again, I'm trying not to lift too much with my right hand and keep the weight in my left hand, and then set it down in my passenger seat. And for me, I've learned my lesson, because I've had times where I've had it sitting up here and I slam on the brakes because I have to or whatever, and the chair has come forward and dented on my dash. So one thing I now try to do is the backrest on my chair, I try to get that underneath the headrest on the seat so that it kind of hooks. So now, like, admittedly, if I slammed on the brakes hard enough, it still would come forward. But one thing I'm thinking also about getting is just a little like bungee strap here that I could hook here and then hook there, so that no matter what, that wouldn't flip forward. But that's how I'm in now. It's far enough back. The other thing too is I do keep the passenger seat relatively far back too, because if I've pushed this too far forward, then it blocks my mirror when I'm driving. But you can see I'm laying down right now, but then I just sit up, get my feet situated, get my driver's side seat inclining in and ready to drive, and then we're good to go. So now that I've shown you how I get it into my car, now I can show you how I'll get it out of my car when I get to wherever my destination is. So it's like the same process, just in reverse. So we're the chair is fully inclined right now, and like I've been driving. So the first thing I do is decline it. So we got to get it back so I have enough room, and then so I lean back. The same thing here. I'll get the chair kind of like unstuck, so to speak, but the weight again, I try to keep as much in that left hand as possible. And when I get to here, I kind of rest it against my chest and then adjust my hand so that I can set it down. And my first set is not like against the door, but there, and then I can rotate and get on the back side of it, and then do that. And then coming out though, I do, for whatever reason, I think it might just be me, I always end up doing the outside wheel first. So so it's close into me, and grab my wheel, and we put that one on, and then I shift it left to get more space. And then get the chair down like this, get one brake on so it doesn't roll away from me, just make sure it kind of props itself against my car. And then the last thing we do is get my seat cushion and get that all situated. And then for me, my transfer, I might adjust my chair a little bit to get the transfer. For me, I get my legs free of the car first, both of them down there, so they don't get hung up as I move forward. And then for my transfer out, it's a little different. I don't put my hand on the seat. I suppose I could, I've never tried, but more often than not, I grab the steering wheel, and then one hand on the cushion, and then just let myself down, and I'm in, adjust my feet, and then I always throw my keys up in the dashboard so I don't have to reach back across over there, and we're good to go. So that's my pretty simple process for getting it out of my car. Again, a lot of the things I've changed have just been being more conscious of how I'm lifting to protect my shoulders, and a little bit of different how I position the chair so I'm not scratching and dinging up the sides of my car. And then again, how I put it in the seat so that it doesn't fly forward. The other thing you can do, which I've done in the past too, is I know I put my seat cushion on the floor next in front of the passenger seat, but if you put the chair down there like so the wheels are here and then the frame comes up like this. If you put the front casters down on the floor, that chair will never tip because it's on the ground now. So you can put it down there and have to worry less about it busting up your dash. So I hope you guys found this video helpful and informational. Maybe if you're new to being in a wheelchair or new to getting a car for the first time and thinking about what you might be able to accomplish or what vehicles you might be able to drive, I would highly encourage you to at least give this a try. And if you guys have other ways that you get in and out of your vehicles, definitely drop it in the comments, or have that conversation with us. I would love to hear what your tips or tricks might be that might make my process easier too. I love this community, and I think the back and forth is a great way to share ideas and improve all of our lives. So if you like the video in general, consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications, and we will see you guys on the next Adapted Adventures.